I want to thank all the people that supported me, people that voted for me and Fiji First. We've done a lot of work, but as I keep saying, I'm also disappointed about the numbers. I would have loved more. I would love more seats in Parliament, but my party and I, obviously, and the people close to me, my family, are very excited about the results. And in the last 4 or 5 days, I've received thousands of calls, thousands of texts, thousands of emails. My phone's been jammed. Everyone's excited about the results of the election, and people keep calling me up to say we've started this grog session or we've started this beer session, just celebrating the win of Fiji First. So I guess the whole nation is with me in accepting the win and celebrating the win of Fiji First, especially the big margin that we've won with.
Now, just in relation to, of course, now you have been sworn in as the elected Prime Minister of Fiji. For you personally, of course, this is something big which you have started from, as you say, from around 2000, and now you have been elected by the people, and now the elected Prime Minister of Fiji. For you personally, how things were going on leading up to that voting day, and people going out to vote, and then the final result coming up?
Well, Vijay, I've always insisted and made sure, in fact, throughout the, even building up to the voting process, even before that, I wanted to make sure that it was, everyone came out to vote, that it was a fair and transparent process because of what we've done leading up to the election. We've worked hard at it. We've sacrificed a lot. My personal family, my family, the friends around me, the military, the government. We went through hell to get to where we are now. And that was why I made special mention of the military, that it is our legacy, that we have now democratic elected government with a democratic process that has been endorsed by the international community and endorsed at large. And it went very well because, as you see, how many invalid votes are there? Maybe what? They said 0.75%. 0.75%. Best numbers of invalid vote we have had previous elections. I'm very disappointed with the 5 parties that came up initially with all these complaints about it not being fair. There'll be some problems with probably the way it was done, but the observers, the international observers, said it was fair and transparent, and so was the Electoral Commission. So to me, it was a wonderful election process by everyone that came out in the hundreds, in thousands. I think it was what, 496,000 voters that turned out, because we had worked them up to make sure they come and vote. And it has been, and I keep saying, Sanim and his team, the supervisor of election, has done a tremendous job, excellent job, and he should be commended, with the Electoral Commission, of course, and all his supporters, all the people that helped him and helped the people of Fiji vote. They've done a tremendous job, and he should be commended for that.
Now, of course, talking about your critics, first of all, they said that you may not hold elections, and of course, you've had the elections. Then they've come back now and said there was rigging, but however, as Electoral Commission has kept asking them, provide us with credible evidence to prove your claims, which they've they are unable to do. And they continue to say that at least Sodelpa is still saying they do not accept the results of the elections. They said they can't believe that people have, a majority of people have voted for, they've used the term usurpers. What do you have to say to that?
When Voreqe used the word usurpers, I think it's a big word for her. I don't think she understands what it means. Mick Bedo should come up with another word that which she can understand and relate to what has happened in the last few days. We won the election. Fiji First won the election hands down. We thrashed everyone to bits, seriously, if I can use that word. We thrashed all the political parties to bits with the endorsement of the people of Fiji. One of my nieces sent me a text the other day, and she said the people of Fiji have spoken loud and clear about which direction we should go, and that is the policies of Fiji First. They will say that they don't accept the numbers because they don't know what's on the ground. They don't know how people have changed. They've changed from the policies, the discriminatory policies that these people have brought with them over the last 14, 15 years. That's now changed. The good numbers of it okay. And that's a wonderful thing about it. I'm also disappointed with the numbers. I would have loved more. I would have loved more votes. I would have loved more seats, so that I don't have to sit with liars in Parliament who lied through their teeth to get into Parliament. And that's the most unfortunate thing with politics. If you remember Vijay, I said during the debate with the talkback with Voreqe, I said to her, politics aside, we should get rid of these policies of theirs, these discriminatory policies. They should come up with something better than these discriminatory policies to back what they want done in Fiji. It's not good for Fiji. It's not good for everyone in Fiji. It's not good for our future. It's not good for our kids and our grandchildren. I joked about this guy, Bulitavo. He goes around with discs talking about the indigenous rights, that it has been trampled upon, everything that's protected in the constitution, which is not telling the people of Fiji. And yet today's papers, he's talking about development. All of a sudden there's a big change in what he said during his campaign and what he says now. But do you think I'm going to believe them? No, there's no way I'm going to believe these people. One guy turned up yesterday, I think it was, who's this guy from Telebu? He said, we're ready for battle. I don't think he knows what he's talking about when he's talking about battle. What battle is he going to fight in Parliament? What policies are they going to bring to fight ours? More lies? We can't afford that. We can't afford that in government. We can't afford that in Fiji. We can't afford them bringing more lies in Parliament. We can't afford them going back and harping about the election results when the allegations went up the chutes when they came up with that.
Did you have any doubts going into the election? Did you have any doubts of getting into government? Did you have any doubts because you were saying you were worried about what Sodelpa was saying out on the ground?
No, Vijay, I had no doubts that we were going to win. No doubts at all. The people, wherever I go, they even if those that told me yes and changed their votes to no, they didn't vote for Fiji First and me. Yet they still said, "You will win. Your party will win, and you will win." So I have no doubts. But I've said I didn't know how deep the lies were until I went to Kandavu, and if you see the polling results too from Kandavu, things also changed after I left.
Now, you did say you were worried. What were you worried about with what Sodelpa was saying on the ground?
We need to, in the next 4 years, Vijay, the government needs to work on road shows. Going out to the rural areas, And this is nothing to do with, really, this is nothing to do with election, the next election. This is to do with educating our people so they don't get lied to. We need to take out roadshows and tell them this is what's in the Constitution. We need to have roadshows to tell them this is what happens in government. These are the policies in government. We need to have roadshows to tell them this is how we make money. This is what we want to do to get our economy going, so that they understand, at least they know what we're trying to do, so that they don't get lied to. Because most of them, unfortunately, they don't know what's in the Constitution. They don't know how the system works. So when these people come in, especially former prime ministers and former PSs and aunties and ratus, when they come in and sit down with them, they believe, because they live in the rural areas, not knowing that they're being lied to. And those are the lies that have taken them to Parliament. That's the bit I've been worried about, that we continue to lie to people when we should be educating them. That's why we're very strong on education. You know, this free bus fares, free school fees, scholarships. Those are the things that we need to do to have our people educated so that they don't get lied to.
Let's talk about education curriculum now. Our education curriculum, the history just sort of stops at independence,
Yes.
at 1970.
Yes.
But we've had a lot of history after that, which has made significant changes as far as how our country is. And that includes the coups from 1987, what happened in 1977 onwards.
I agree.
Now, will you do something about
I
it?
agree. No, we will have to do a lot about the curriculum, especially with regards to our political history. We need to do that so that our kids can understand what transpired and what brought us to where we are now.
And you will start with that as soon as you appoint a new cabinet?
Well, we're going to appoint a cabinet. We're not going to do it on the same day. I can tell you that, but that'll be one of the things that we'll talk about.
Looking at your cabinet makeup, definitely you've had a lean cabinet going in the past 7.5 years or so, and at that time you had travel sanctions. You could not look outside to get more people in, to get the right people in. Now you've got a team of 32 that you can choose from. You're thinking of a bigger cabinet maybe than the one you had, maybe looking at some of the portfolios where more focus should go by one person rather than 3, 4. What are you looking at?
No, there'll definitely be, because now we have a good number, 32. We will certainly increase the number of a number in cabinet. We will have to spread out those portfolios to a lot more people. It will be good for me, so that I don't have to look after 8 portfolios. And a couple of other ministers are holding on to a lot more portfolios than we should. But now that we have the opportunity, we have 32 people to pick from, to share the responsibilities and portfolios that we've had with only 10, 12 cabinet ministers.
You know, some people have criticized you in the past for some people holding a lot of portfolios.
Yeah.
What was that by personal choice? But how did that come about? You wanted to have a small cabinet, or
no? We wanted to have a small cabinet. We want to restrict the amount of funds that we can utilize in cabinet by ministers. So we could handle it. We handled it all right. We didn't have any problems. All we needed to do was have good people in the bureaucracy, good permanent secretaries, and we had wonderful permanent secretaries in the past, and now, and we hope to continue with that.
What about your permanent secretaries? Because their contracts, it was decided that there will be a relook of contracts after the elections. Are you planning to retain them based on their performance?
Well, we will have to relook at the performance, and they'll all go out and they'll reapply. So
that will be the process.
Yes, because now a lot of people have gone out of permanent secretary. You know, I've lost my permanent secretary, and I don't know, a couple of other permanent secretaries. I'm not sure, but there are a lot of vacancies now. A lot of vacancies in commissioners' postings. We need to fill those up, And no, we'll have a look at that.
Now, going forward, you have said, you said in your victory speech and the Thanksgiving service, interfaith service that you had at the ANZ Stadium, going forward, you have said that you will ensure that you will look after all Fijians. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, our policy has been to look after development as a whole, the whole of Fiji. I've continuously used Rotuma as an example. We've done a lot of development in Rotuma because we want Rotuma to produce vegetables and export it to Tuvalu, which is now happening. That has never happened before. So we put a lot of development into Rotuma. We're fixing the ports, we're fixing the roads, we're fixing the airport, quarantine, agricultural officers going in there. We're building a new hospital in Rotuma, schools. But there's no Rotuman in our cabinet. All it takes is good leadership. That's what we need in Fiji. And we want to do that throughout Fiji. So when we say I'm a Prime Minister for all Fijians, I'm talking about also the discriminatory policies that have been with us for the last 30, 40 years. Some Prime Minister, a couple of Prime Ministers, are only for their own race. I'm not. I'm for all races. That's what I meant when I said I'm the Prime Minister for Fiji and for all Fijians. Prime Minister for all races, not only for the Tauke, like me, but for all races. Indo-Fijians, the Chinese, we have the people from Rambe, people from Kioa. We have the Pacific Islanders here that have now made Fiji their home. We have people from the international community who have made Fiji their home. The discriminatory policies have been removed. I am now the Prime Minister for all Fijians and for all Fiji. In other words, we're going to do development throughout Fiji, having removed the discriminatory policies with race.
Let's talk about mindsets. Of course, mindsets are built over years. Your mindset is based on ensuring that everyone is together. Where did it start? At what point in your life did you start having that thought? Of course, you were in the Navy. Before that, you went to Marist, you went to RKS.
I mean, everybody should go to RKS and Marist.
So, no, but I'm asking, where did it build up?
Vijay, I keep asking people, I keep asking the community, when you were brought up, I was brought up in a family where there was no discriminatory policies. I was not taught by my parents, nor my brothers and sisters, to hate another race. I was never taught that. I don't think any of us were ever taught that in the home front, in our families. None of us ever were taught in schools. I was never taught in RKS, in Lotoko Fijian School, in Maris, to hate another race. I was never taught in church. When I went to Sunday school, I was never taught to hate another race. Why all of a sudden this race thing has come up? It is brought in by losing politicians, the losers, the bunch of losers. They bring in these racial discriminatory policies because they know they can gain votes by it. They can lean towards the people who do not understand. If I can say, the uneducated people, who they can use their muscles upon, use their chieftain hierarchy blood to say, I'm a chief, you follow what I tell you to do. And if they are politicians, they are losers, they lead us easily into parliament like they did in 2000. And that's what I keep saying. It's the politicians, the losing politicians, the dirty politicians who come up with racial discriminatory policies to win votes. They've done that. They took us into parliament in 2000, in the hundreds, and they won votes in the election by using the same policies. And as I said, going forward, we don't need that. If we want Fiji to grow, if we want to make Fiji a modern state, if we want education for our kids, But more importantly, if I want our economy to grow, which is the bottom line, this is what we want. We need to get rid of this. None of us are taught to hate another race. So, what's this big deal about racial discrimination? We need to get rid of that.
We had coups in 1987 starting things off. The military was involved. It was a very rough coup for a number of people. A number of people left Fiji. Then we had the coup in 2000, where we had the hostage crisis going for 56 days. And you were commander, but you were out of the country in Norway. You keep going back to 2000. So let's just, because you say that, as you talked about RFMF, that RFMF is stuck together from 2000. In 2000, you were in Norway, the coup occurred, you came back, your life was under threat from that time. What made you keep going and ensuring that change should occur?
Because the military knew what was behind all this. I don't know if I think I've told people the story about the 10 pointers that the Great Council of Chiefs. This supposedly Great Council of Chiefs, they were supposed to look after Fiji. They came up with a 10 pointer, and I had a big argument during the 2000 about with the chief about the decision that was made by the Turang Tuneo to leave, to resign as president and as from the Great Council of Chiefs. When he said, I'm going to retire from the Great Council of Chiefs, I'm not coming back. So we had to look for another president. And I blame the Great Council of Chiefs because, and this chief said, but we supported Turang Tuneo. I said, no, you did not. She said, yes, we supported Turang Tuneo. I said, bring the 10 pointers. Look, we can go through the 10 pointers. The first dot point at the top was the Great Council of Chiefs supports the Turang Tuneo. Yeah? But I said, yeah, but look at the 9 pointers. The 9 pointers were all policies that the Turang Tuneo would throw in the rubbish bin. How can you support him by coming up with all these policies? That was the reason why he left. 2000 was, I keep going back to 2000, I keep saying it's a darkest day in Fiji. Because you see what these guys did. This is what's going to happen if these discriminatory policies thrive in Fiji. What happened in 2000? All other races were left aside. The Toke killed Toke. That's what's going to happen if these people continue with this. A lot of them don't understand what they're saying, what they're doing. All they want are seats in parliament. They really don't understand what's happening around them. This guy, Ndulaki, he sits up and he says, we're ready for battle. I don't know. I don't think he understands what he's saying. When Rotemumu harps about Christian values and Christian principles, I don't think she understands Christian values and Christian principles.
What does it mean for you, Christian values and Christian principles? What does it mean
well,
for you?
All Christians, we all know, is based on love. Love for your fellow man. Do they understand that? Do they know that? When she talks about Christian values and Christian principles, and yet their policies are based on discriminating another race. How can you say that? How can you see one thing and do something totally different? But the most unfortunate thing, you know, Vijay, the churches are backing them.
Some churches?
Some churches. Some church members, some talatalas from different denominations. And the most unfortunate thing is this. They are Christian churches. So what does it say about politics in Fiji now? That's a mindset that you started off with that we need to get rid of. If you want to bring up Christian values and Christian principles, back it up.
With the opposition, you've run a government without parliament. Now, come October 6th, you'll have parliament and there'll be an opposition.
That's why I was hoping on 50, so I don't have any opposition.
Let's go there. Do you expect them to oppose everything that you bring up as government?
Well, you see, Vijay, this is probably what this guy was referring to when he said we're ready for battle. So when we come up with good, sound economic policies that we could go with, they would fight it all the way. If we say we want to bring up good, nice development policies that would take us to a modern state, they'll fight it all the way. This is what he means by we're ready for battle. They don't understand what it means for the desire of people of Fiji to move us to a modern state, to look at our economy and boost it, bring in investors, build roads. They don't understand. All they say is we've lost, and as we need to get rid of these usurpers, and we'll fight them in Parliament. We'll prepare for battle. But I don't think they understand what the opposition is for.
How will you take them on?
It's easy. We have 32. They have what, 18 plus 15 plus the 3 from NFP. We'll take them on, Vijay. We've come through a lot in the last 14 years. Not just the last 8 years, the last 14 years. We'll take them on.
Now, going back to 2000 and then of course moving on towards the end of 2000 where RFMF faced a lot of difficulties on November 2nd, 2000. And I remember doing one interview with you when you had tears in your eyes when you were describing where the different people were shot within QEB. And of course, you've also said in your interviews leading up to these elections, that the sacrifice that they made will not go in vain. At what point, of course, in November 2000, the situation was totally different. Fiji had never seen something like that. You as commander, what were you thinking back then?
Well, we were invited this morning to morning tea by the officers' mess. For those of us that were in the military now, have decided to join politics. They invited us for morning tea, and I was quite emotional when I said prior to 2006 events, as we talked about the events leading up to 2006, especially from the events of the dark days of 2000. And I said I made sure that bit is in my speech when I made the statement on Sunday, the winning statement, the winning speech. When I said that the legacy, this is the legacy of the RFMF, this. The 2013 Constitution, and now a democratic election. We now have a democratic government, or hopefully in the next couple of days. That is our legacy. This is what we fought for. A lot of people don't seem to understand that. I don't think the Sodelpa understand that this is the fight that started with the dark days of 2000, led by dirty, lying politicians such as them, that took us there. This is the fight that was carried forward by the military from those days. And this is our legacy. We have a wonderful constitution. Now we've had election, a transparent, fair election, and we're going to have a democratic government. That is the legacy of the RFMF.
Now, what are some of your main objectives over the next 4 years? Of course, you've said one, that you try to make sure that the people understand the history of Fiji and going forward. What are some of your main objectives as you're thinking of the next 4 years?
Well, as you know, Vijay, there's no doubt that our economy will shoot up very quickly. Yeah. Hopefully, after Parliament sits, the Australian and New Zealand will come on side and lift all sanctions totally. They've been lifted. I've been to New Zealand and I've been to Australia, but I understand there's still some leftover mindset by the bureaucracy of both governments. If you listen to Julie Bishop last week, I think she made a comment along those lines. They'll have to do election, and that she came up with some more conditions, which really didn't sound good to me. But anyway, all that will be lifted. ADB, the Asian Development Bank, that has never given us any concession loan since 2006, because of 2006, will open up its doors again, hopefully. The World Bank, IMF, that has never given us any concession loan since 2006, because of the pressures by Australia, New Zealand and Japan in these three big organizations, and of course the USA, will hopefully recognize what we've done and that we have a democratically elected government, and they'll open up these doors with regards to loan facilities, development. So we should be prepared for that, and that is where we should be putting a lot of emphasis on, preparing us to move in this direction to increase. Look at our economy, to boost it, because as I keep saying, that is the bottom line. We must get investors in, we must get employment up, we must get poverty down. I kept, I don't know whether Fiji One played my interview or not, when I said that you playing NFP's ad, which is wrong, and yet you keep playing it. That poverty was at 46% when it was not. It was about 32%. And that was the latest figures that was cleared by IMF and World Bank. And that was 2009, even before our economy shot up. Our economy is now surpassed that of the world economy, where we were 2.9, we are now 4.6. But even then, that was before our economy got up, so it would have gone lower. And yet, they still played Biman Prasad, 45% poverty or something, some figures like that.
So you expect record economic growth going forward?
Record economic growth going forward. That's what we should be aiming at. That's what's going to bring about the development that we've been talking about. And we're not going to have that if we have people in Parliament ready to fight battles on which they don't understand anything about economy and development. That is really what we want at the end of the day. Economy for development, economy for social welfare, economy for everything that we want done in Fiji. That's where it's going to come from.
Will you let the opposition stop you in any of your development plans?
You really can't afford that, and I'm not going to allow that. Hey Vijay, I got 32 numbers. Don't forget that.
Now, just going on to your family, you're saying that they've stuck together. You were seen as a family man, always together. We saw you sort of headbutting one of your grandsons.
Oh, that's the way we welcome one another.
Greet each other. Of course, they must have stuck together through thick or thin, despite all the criticisms that's out there and the negative comments. Talk about a bit of that, of Voreqe Bainimarama at home.
We like all families. We're close, like all families in Fiji. No difference, like yours. The wonderful thing is we all live in Suva, except of course one of my daughters and family lives in UK. British Army husband. But otherwise we're all here. Kids all school here. My grandchildren are here. So I was asked in Australia, what's going to happen if you lose election? Like that thinking that there's going to be another coup. I said, I've got 14 grandchildren to look after. I'm looking forward to that.
Now, as far as you going forward, definitely the next 4 years is you Prime Minister and in Parliament also. You will stay on for the next 4 years. What's your plan? going
That's
forward? Fiji, as far as finishing 4 years, continuing as leader of Fiji
definitely. Vijay, we need to do that. We need to move, continue. Me and my party now, policy should be the one that is endorsed by people of Fiji to move us forward. Any other policies will take us backwards.
You did say in one of your speeches that Fiji First is a movement, it's not just a party, and it's based on ideals, to take those ideals forward.
Well, that
So based on that issue,
yeah.
these next 4 years and the 4 years after that, what is your plan?
Well, that that movement and those ideals. When I talked about those, that was the movement from 2000. Okay, and the same policies and ideals we fought for in 2000 onwards. That's the one we think Fiji can use to succeed and bring about a modern state. You see all these reforms, that has happened in the last 6-7 years. Those are from the movement, from the ideals, the thinking that we had in the last 10 years. That what we need to do in the nation state of Fiji to move on.
Rote Mumukepa, in a statement also, said yesterday that they will take a motion into Parliament to have an inquiry into the elections, and the government should ensure that there is an inquiry into the elections. Electoral decree has got specific ways to deal with the electoral disputes, to go to the court, to the Court of Disputed Returns is the High Court. As Fiji First Leader and now Prime Minister, based on what the opposition leader is saying, what is your comment on that?
She's been fed this by Mick Beddoes and Rajendra Chaudhry. His father, Chaudhry. You see them milling around Rote Mumu during all these allegations that have come from these supposedly five parties. You see these two. One biggest crook and the biggest loser. They never have achieved anything in politics that have been successful. Okay? And one's been providing Rote Mumu, Mick Beddoes, with all these statements. And she's coming up with all these statements and she doesn't understand what she's saying. The people, the most professional organization that would have looked into those allegations, questioned those allegations. They didn't have any answer to them. The Electoral Commission. And the international observers said it was a fair, transparent election. They didn't find anything wrong with it. The Electoral Commission asked them for proof of the allegations. They didn't come up with anything. So who else are they going to go and see? Are they going to start doing this, causing problems when we want to move forward and they want to take us back in Parliament? She doesn't understand what she's saying. They've asked for questions, they didn't answer. The Electoral Commission have asked the right questions, they don't have any answers for that. So who's going to provide the answers for them in Parliament?
If they push for an inquiry in Parliament, what will you do?
We got 32 numbers. Remember that.
Now, just in relation to also Rote Mumukepa saying that she's surprised that majority of the people voted for people who are behind coups, that shouldn't have happened. What is your comment on that?
You see, Vijay, I keep saying that. You know, like Tupo Dondalo. Was it you referring to Rote Mumu Tupo?
Rote Mumu.
She said that.
Yes.
Oh, and Tupo Dondalo is saying the same thing. And that Rote Mumu was very much pro George Pitt. So who are those guys? Tupo Dondalo's dead, God rest his soul, because a good friend of mine was part of the 2000 events. So what is she talking about? You see, all these people don't understand when they said the coup in 2006. The coup in 2006 produced us the democratic government that we now have. A democratic, the best constitution that we can ever have. That's a supposedly coup of 2006. They don't seem to understand. They can't tie what happened in 2000 and what we want done. They can't tie that together. All they see is this military that took over government, like the European Union that I mentioned. They see that. That's the only thing that they see. This is a military that is taking over this government for themselves. We didn't do what we did in 2006. The military didn't do that for the military. We did that for the nation. And that's what I included in the speech. This is the legacy of the RFMF. I keep telling them when I was setting up our troops in 2004, 2005. And one day, our children and grandchildren will talk about us. That we brought the military with their strength, brought democracy, true democracy to Fiji. We've done it. And we didn't do it for the military. We did it for the nation. You know, people talk about the events of 2006. We had guns. We removed the government in 2006. Did we ever use the guns in 2006? No. It takes guts. It takes guts and strength, inner strength, by the ordinary Tauke to go up and tell his chief, "Thank you very much. Your discriminatory policies are not. We don't endorse it. Can you now get off the government vehicle? Give me your car key, please. I'll take your mobile. Thank you very much. You can now walk." No ordinary Tauke would have done that. You know that. That takes the inner strength by the average military guy. And that should be recognized by the people of Fiji. People of Fiji don't realize that. They don't recognize that. That the ordinary Tauke can go up and tell his chief, "Thank you very much." How many chiefs did we have in the last government? 6? "Thank you very much. Please go home." No gun was pointed at them, but the ordinary soldier on the street had the inner strength to tell this person, "I don't like what you're doing to my country."
How and why they got that inner strength?
Well, I woke them up because of the events of 2000. I told my troops, "Look, this is not good for us. We don't need another 2000. We don't need our troops to be shot again by Tauke people. We don't need military camps to be taken over by chiefs just because they're chiefs. We can't afford this. We can't afford the people of Muniweni living in the bush for 6 days on end without any food. We can't afford that. We can't afford to have mothers and daughters in the community scared because of the uncertainty of what's happening in Parliament. We can't afford another of that. And it will happen again because of the discriminatory policies that are coming up with this government. So we need to remove it. Very simple. It was done.
One of the things, just we're coming to the end now, but one of the things
Can we end it now?
Can we just continue for the
I'm getting
last
hungry.
question? Now, the issue about scholarships and other things where a party like Sodelpa had said there should have been preferential treatment for one race, in this case the Itoke. Now, you raised one issue that think about a young 5-year-old girl who's a Fijian of Indian descent. And how would they think? Can you elaborate on that, what you mean by what you said about when we go into giving only preferential treatment to one community?
And I was reading an old, not old, couple of days old, newspaper where Sodelpa went into Kandavu. There was I was just reading it last night. I just came across it. And they're talking about scholarship. They're talking about the scholarship. And that the Tauke should get more because he's going to pay for his kids going into the TELS program. See, he's been lied to because he doesn't know that. We get more Tauke now in the TELS doing scholarship than what we had before. See, these people didn't tell them that. But the 600 toppers, this is what they're targeting. because the 600 toppers is free, scholarship, not payment. This one you do scholarship and you pay for it when you work. And as I keep saying, if you don't work, you don't pay for it. But at least you're educated to university level. That's really what we want. Maybe they don't want that because they can keep lying to the people. But the 600 toppers are for students, so that we can, at the end of the day, after the education, we can slot them into areas that need this education in government circles. We short of surveyors, we short of doctors, and these are for 600 toppers. The best students, 600 students in Fiji, do that, and these are the 600 students that will continue with the momentum of education and the economic policies that will move Fiji forward. We don't want a Tauke who has 120 marks going in there just because he's the Tauke. That's what they want. We can't afford that. That's why we need to get rid of these discriminatory policies. But when I talked about the young kid, when they come up with these policies, discriminatory policies, as I said, they do it just to win votes. They don't seem to realize what it's doing to our nation when they're lying. But if they discriminate against Indo-Fijian, they'll be looking at this guy. I don't like that guy. He's an Indo-Fijian. I don't like that guy. He's a Chinese. But he's forgetting that there are also Indo-Fijian kids, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, who wants the best thing in life. Are you going to discriminate against them? Who's going to help them if this government cannot do that? You need to get rid of it.
My final question. You've got your vision set out. You want everyone to be treated equally with fairness. Now, as Prime Minister, as leader of government, how will you ensure that you continue with that vision? In what type of things are left to do to ensure that you go in that direction?
Again, Vijay, it's mostly to do with education. We need to go out and tell the people, like I said, but it's not. I keep saying it's not to do with the election, really. We need to educate our people, because I've found out how vulnerable our people are to liars, especially politicians. Have you seen any of my members of the Fiji First go out and lie about anything to win votes? No, we've talked about how we can get our economy going. We've talked about how we can get get development done. But these people come and lie. They've lied about me getting $1 million. This is from Chaudhry and from Rotemumu. Where I confronted Rotemumu that night, and she said I didn't say anything of that sort, but it came from their camp. Him, Chaudhry and Nick Beddoes, that I earned $1 million. That changed the views of the people. They're lying to. Oh, how can he be earning $1 million when I got nothing? I'm going to vote for Sodelpa. My wife bought a $1.7 million house. How can his wife go and buy a $1.7 million home when I'm trying to build a $10,000 home here? I'm going to vote for Sodelpa. These are the lies that are not good for us. So we need to go out and educate our people. Get them to be at a level where they can't accept lies. So when these guys come around in 10, 15 years' time and tell them this is the state of the economy, they'll get this young university student who tell them, get lost. I know that more than you. When somebody comes and goes to the village, talk about the Constitution, thank you very much. We've read the Constitution. We know what's in the Constitution. You can't come and lie to us anymore. So to get rid of that mindset, we need to educate our people.
Any further words for the people watching and listening out there from you?
Well, I don't know when this is going to come out, but I'm certainly looking forward to the 6th of October. All the pomps and ceremonies that goes with His Excellency coming to convene Parliament and get all the parliamentarians together for the first time.
Yeah.
But we're certainly looking forward to governing, bringing the rest of the parliamentarians and governing the whole of Fiji for Fijians.